What's going on, everybody? John Derva back. I'm back. I've been gone. I know everybody's been asking me, where are you? What happened? So I did this thing like a couple months ago called the Weekly Intel. I did one episode um, with my special guest, that fat samurai guy, and the goal was to do a weekly show called the Weekly Intel, where I would talk about the past week's action news, whether it be trailers that came out or, movie news or anything. Well, unfortunately, we have a writer strike going on and a actor strike going on. So there ain't much of anything going on right now. So let me explain. As you know, my website's still ongoing. I've been posting some reviews and news and trailers and stuff like that. But my podcast on Spotify as well as on YouTube has been non-existent, and there's a good reason for that. So first of all, good night, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Action-Flix podcast here on YouTube. And it's also going to be simultaneously on my Spotify podcast as well, the audio. So if you're watching the YouTube version, you'll be able to see the visuals and everything that I'm going to put up. But if you're listening to the audio, you're not going to be able to see the visuals, but that's okay. But I wanted to do a dual thing so that way the people on the audio end that listen to me will be able to hear this as well as the people on YouTube. So again, let me explain why I have not been doing my podcast. The interviews have kind of dried up. Not that I couldn't have done some interviews. I had some opportunities that kind of fell by the wayside, and here's why. So I am in the process, as you can see behind me, if you follow me and you've seen me do my interviews on the Action-Flix as well as all the other stuff that I do. I used to have pictures everywhere. I had snake eyes all over the place. So now basically all I have is a blank wall behind me. You can see there's stuff piled up over here, and all I have left are my collectibles that I haven't packed away. There is still John Wick on my door, so he's still here. We just haven't taken it down yet. But I am in the process of relocating. Yes, I currently reside in New Hampshire. I've been in New Hampshire for 10 years. I'm from Ohio, Northeast Ohio. That's where I was born and raised. But then I came out here about 10 years ago because my family, my parents and my sisters had relocated out here. So I came here to, be closer to family. I met my wife, I have my wonderful daughters now. So it's been a great 10 years, but I cannot stand the state of New Hampshire. No offense, New Hampshire. But it is not a state that I want to spend my last days in. It's it's okay. It's a nice place to live. Don't get me wrong. And people are going to be like, hate me that live in New Hampshire, but it's not for me. And I've done winters for my entire life. The only time I have not done a winter was in 1999 when I lived in Texas for a year, and I moved there in January, and I was able to enjoy the warm atmosphere of Texas that year because it was a warm winter. But other than that, I've been exposed to lake effect snow when I was in Ohio, and then out here in New England, it's nor'easters. I hate snow. I hate winter. I hate cold. As I get older, I had shoulder surgery on both. As you can see, this one I did in February. So I got the big scar there. Still going through physical therapy for that. I want a warmer climate. So basically, we have made it possible to relocate to Florida. Yes, I am in the process of moving to Florida in about a month. So around mid-September, I will be moving to Florida where there are palm trees and beaches and all kinds of good stuff. And I couldn't be more excited. We are in the process of packing. My wife is one of those type of people that wants to do things ahead of time, which I love her for it because I'm not like that. I'm a procrastinator. I get it from my dad. I love you, Dad, but you procrastinate. And he's 84 now, it's even worse. So, yeah, so pretty much things are getting packed away. We're not taking any furniture or anything. We just, my wife told my girls, you get 3 boxes, 3 nice size boxes to pack whatever you want. And of course, I was able to pack my movies. I got rid of a lot. Let me tell you, I am sacrificing. So I got rid of some stuff too. Yeah, so we're basically just taking the essentials, clothing, keepsakes, my movies, my collectibles are coming with me. But no furniture, no beds, no nothing. And when we get down there, we're going brand new. We're turning the chapter on this part of our lives and going into a new and exciting chapter. So that's why I have not been around in the last few months. I don't remember the last time I did a Spotify podcast. Yeah, but the last time I did a YouTube one was the first episode of the weekly intel, which has since I have not done another one. I am hoping to do one this week. I make no promises, like I said, But let's get started here. So, welcome to the Action-Flix. I'm rocking my Megaforce hat, my Cobra Kai t-shirt. So I got a little bit of both going on right now. So this is going to be a special one. It's going to be a review. And this is the first time where I'm going to review two movies at the same time. I finally got around to watching these movies, and my sincere apologies to the actor who I interviewed a while back, who is I'm a big fan of. He's been one of my favorites for many, many years now. The one and only Michael Jai White. Yes, Michael Jai White. I was finally able to watch As Good as Dead and The Island. Now, The Island just recently came out. As Good as Dead came out a little longer back. But I was, I've missed a lot of stuff, because like there's been a whole lot of drama going on behind my lives. And it's got to deal with some things and some nefarious people in my life that we have since been able to brush away. And so here we are. I'm relocating to Florida, and I'm back. Like I said, I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to do the podcast from now until we move, but I want to do the Action-Flix podcast full side, each side, whatever the case might be, with palm trees behind me and a nice sunset. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So yeah, so right now I'm still stuck in my little office, which is actually a converted walk-in closet. So hopefully when we go down there, when we find our place, I will have a place to put all my stuff. My wife promises me that we will, because where else am I going to put it? Because she likes to decorate it. I don't think she wants like these guys, when people come to visit or whatever. Like, hey, look, it's Snake Eyes, it's Daredevil, it's Deadpool, it's War Machine, So yeah, so I'm doing a review today for Michael Jai White's The Island and As Good as Dead. I just watched them today, as a matter of fact. Did a double feature. Excuse me. Now, I make a point not to read other people's reviews, and I've said this many times in the past, because, like I said, the only opinion that matters is mine. Like, if I like the movie or TV show, why do I care what this person does? There are people who I listen to. I have friends in the action blogging community, that we talk and, stuff like that. Owen Frill, we all know, is a good friend of mine from the Action League. I listen to him, and of course that Fat Samurai guy now, but I'm like, what? You're not going to sway my opinion. Like, I always like the Meg 2 just came out, and I did a review for that. I actually wrote the Meg 2 review on my way to Boston Fan Expo, where myself and my 15-year-old daughter, Sam, went. She had never been to a Comic-Con, so she came with me. And I just went on Saturday, but boy, was it a lot of fun. We saw Zachary Levi live. We saw Stephen Amell live. David Ramsey, who, starred with Stephen Amell in Arrow. And, of course, Emily Swallow from The Mandalorian. She's the armorer. And also she was on SEAL Team, one of probably my favorite show. She played one of David Boreanaz's love interests in the series. She had an arc. She was on there for a while. But yeah, we got to see her live, and I record all the panels. They're up now on YouTube, except for David Ramsey. I've not been able to put David Ramsey up for some reason. Every time I try to post him, excuse me, while I take a sip of my beverage in my Punisher cup. For some reason, every time I try to post him, it takes forever, and I just delete it and then try again. So hopefully one day I'll get that there. But that's up on actionflix.com now. My recap of my experience at Boston Fan Expo. And boy, was that a lot of fun because like I hadn't been to a Comic-Con since before COVID. I had gone to the New York Comic-Con for 3 years in a row, and then I did the Boston Fan Expo 1 year, and then it kind of dried up after that. So I was able to return, and hopefully when I get down to Florida, I'll be able to hit some of the Comic-Cons that, run around there, and that'll be exciting. So stay tuned for that. But let's get back on board here. So yeah, so we're talking Michael Jai White. Now, let me do this first. I'm going to share the screen. Here is Michael Jai White, The Island. This is the article that I did when I first advertised it. I'll show you the key art here, which shows Michael and his co-star Jackson Rathbone, who I wasn't really familiar with. He was in the Twilight movies, I know that, but I have not seen 1 minute of the Twilight movies. So I was like, I don't know who this guy is. There's the picture again where he's taking on the main bad guy in The Island, and the main bad guy is Eduardo Costa, who plays Manuel Alvarez. He takes him on at the end of the movie. And I did a bunch of articles actually for The Island. As you can see, I did 2 more articles. So I did this one too, where I showed a picture of them. Again, there's him fighting with the head bad guy at the end of the movie. And I might go through spoilers. So if I go through spoilers, my apologies if you have not seen the movie. But it's been out for a while. So you haven't seen it, then I can't help you. So yeah, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the Island first. And as you can see, my title here, Michael Jai White rages a bloody one-man war in paradise in the official trailer for his latest fist and feet kicking actioner. I always like to try to come up with something that'll catch people's interest when, because why just say, hey, it's the Island trailer? It's boring, So I like to try to come up with some pizzazz, So let me just say that it's not a fist and kicking actioner. There is fist and feet in it. Michael Jai White does do some fighting in it, but if you're looking for wall-to-wall Michael Jai White kicking ass, you're going to be severely disappointed. And it's not okay. Here, let me go back to what I was saying. I don't read other people's reviews, but I do see like titles of reviews and snippets of other people's reviews because it just crosses my path. And both of these movies, they're independent movies, okay? And I know that As Good as Dead is part of Michael's gigantic studios promotion banner, which he started to make his own movies, which we all know to get more creative control, he's directing, he's writing and stuff like that. He's doing other things behind the camera. And it's not a bad movie. I read like certain snippets of people's reviews saying this is the worst movie they've ever seen. I knew I was in for it when I walked. I'm like, come on. No, it's not. It's not the worst movie you've ever seen. This is not the worst movie you've ever seen. Please, come on. You know what? I mean, clickbait. I don't know what else it could be because, seriously, let's get it right. It's not the worst movie you've ever seen. Is it the greatest movie you've ever seen? No. No offense to Michael. Michael, I love you, man, but it's a good movie. It's a decent little action movie, and I'll give you my rating at the end. So The Island stars Michael as Mark Everidge. He's a LA cop, but he has a past. He's from a tropical island, and this was filmed in St. Kitts and Nevis, So, but they only call it The Island. Of course, I've only seen the movie once, and my apologies if they said the title of the island in the movie, but they just kept calling it The Island. So we know it's this tropical, lush island, down by the equator, where it doesn't get below because the actually, Eduardo's character, Manuel, says it never goes below 72. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds nice. It's like, wow, I think to live there. So basically, the plot is simple. Okay, and this is not a bad thing. My wife started watching it with me. Okay, she went to talk to her mom, missed like 2/3 of the movie, came back at the ending and knew exactly what was going on. Okay, so the plot's not gonna really, it's not a real brain busting, where you're gonna be like, oh my god, what's going on? It's not like The Northman where you're gonna be like, what the frick am I watching? And I watched that during my neurological disorder. So imagine that. So it's confusing when you don't have a neurological disorder, but just try watching it when you know you do. It's like I have no idea what's going on. I might have to watch that again in the future just to see if it was as screwed up as I thought. But yes, so it's a simple plot. Mark has a brother. Michael J. White plays Mark. He has a brother. He's a cop. Mark's brother gets killed at the beginning of the movie. That's not a spoiler. I mean, Christ, it's in the trailer, and it's in the plot. There's this lady singing, and we find out that she came from Chicago, and Manuel has this club on the island. He wants her to sing exclusively for her and everything. And he's like suave and debonair, and he's like talking to her and everything. And he's offering her money, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. 3 times the money I was making in Chicago, and I don't have to go through winters anymore." She's like me. She's like, she doesn't do cold. I'm like, neither do I. But so Mark's brother is a waiter there. He's serving them, and he's serving red wine, and he goes to pour it for the lady, and in the process of doing so accidentally spills some out. So she's wearing all white, so now she's got red wine on her. We all know that stains. So he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." She's like, "It's fine, it's fine, it's an accident." And at first Manuel's like, "Yes, it's an accident." He's like, "How long have you been working for me?" And he's like, "Oh, about 3 months, sir." He's like, "Then you know that the client is king," or something. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. She's like, "Yes," and then he starts apologizing. And then as he's apologizing, Manuel comes up behind him and totally slices off his neck, and all the blood pours out and hits this poor lady, and she's just like, "What the hell is happening?" So that's how you know Manuel is not a nice guy. He owns a club, but you know what? He's an asshole. So he kills Mark's brother for spilling some red wine on the poor lady. I've been in restaurants where people have poured stuff on people by accident, and you know what happened? Nothing. I mean, did they get a good tip? Probably not. But I'm sure they get a big, huge knife through their neck as blood came. And it was a pretty good effect too. I mean, for a low budget independent movie, man, that was like a horror movie scene. It was just like, Jesus, holy cow, what is going on right now? So it's actually a good scene to open up the movie because you're just like, wow. Then we cut to Mark. Mark's on a stakeout with his partner Phil, played by Jackson Rathbone, who is in the Twilight movies, and again, did not know who they are. But as they're in the car waiting for the criminals to show up, they got some good rapport going back and forth. So it's kind of like a Lethal Weapon thing going in. Phil's kind of talking about how, because Mark's divorced now, and he should come out with him and date and stuff like that, and Mark's like not giving him the time of day. He's like, you know what, shut up. So but you can tell there's like they have some good chemistry going, right? So then the criminals show up, and it's a drug buy, and Phil gets the big guy while Mark is with the smaller guy in charge. And Phil proceeds to get into an altercation with the big guy where he's trying to beat him up as Mark just basically hits the other guy twice and kicks him into the back of the guy's SUV, and that's done with it. And then Phil is like, poor Phil's getting thrown around by this big guy, but he wins. That's a good thing. And he's reading him his Miranda rights as he's doing it, which I thought was pretty funny. But then after they arrest them, Mark gets the phone call, and then you can tell it's bad news. Somebody's telling him that his brother got killed. So he goes back to the island where he is originally from. And it's kind of cool because then Michael has an accent. He's got I don't want to say Jamaican because, it's not Jamaican, but he's got the accent going on and everything, which is kind of cool, So he goes back for his brother's funeral, and he finds out that Manuel Alvarez, you remember Roadhouse, Ben Gazzara's character, like totally took control of the town. He owned everything. He owned everybody. He was an asshole. And if you didn't do what he wanted you to do, he wouldn't necessarily kill you like this guy would, but he would he'd frick up your business and stuff, take a big, monster truck and run it through your auto dealership. So that's what Mark finds out. Poor Mark, Wayne Gorin stars in Nate, who is the police captain on the island, and they're good friends. They grew up together. And poor Nate is, he doesn't have the manpower, and he's just beside himself. And he's talking to Mark, and he's like, the file for his brother's death is like 2 pages, and he's like, that's it, and So yeah, so Mark finds out that Manuel owns everything. He owns, the hospitals, the restaurants, the businesses. He owns it all. He just basically came in and was like, I'm going to buy everything. And then there's these gangs that come from other islands. And so basically, as Mark was gone, and we find out that Mark left because he was married to his wife, played by his real life wife, Jillian White, who has been starring in movies with Mike. So it's kind of cool. They're, husband wife duo. She plays Aquila, and they got divorced, and we find out why later on. But he went to LA and became a cop, and but now he's back. But in the time that he was gone, things have really turned to shit. There's gangs, there's drugs, there's violence, criminal activity. So it's not a nice place to live anymore. So basically, the residents, they just wake up every day and just hope nothing bad happens to them before they go to bed that next night. So what does Mark do? Well, you know what? Mark's not going to take any shit, because he's Michael J. White. I wouldn't take any shit either if I was Michael J. White. He's going to find out who killed his brother, and he's going to go through anybody and everybody to find out who killed his brother. So that's the plot. Like I said, my wife came back in at the end and totally knew what was going on. She's like, "Oh, they kidnapped his wife." Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, oh, okay." She asked maybe like a couple questions just to get caught up, and then I was like, then after that, she was good to go. So again, not nothing against Michael J. White or um, you know, but it's not the North, you know. So that's it in a nutshell. So basically, guess what happens? There's shooting and there's fisticuffs. There's firepower and fisticuffs, just like I say in my articles. Now, like I said, there's a couple bad things about this movie that I didn't like. Okay, but it's not a bad movie. Okay, and I'm going to tell you my rating right now. Just get out of the way. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. Pretty decent. It's Action-Flix approved. Anything 3 or more stars is Action-Flix approved. It's a nice little action movie. It's not John Wick, so I think John Wick has spoiled action movies for everybody. Everybody thinks that when they watch an action movie from now on, it's going to look like John Wick. No. Okay. It's especially if you watch independent action movies. I mean, there's some that have more budgets than others. It's kind of tricky. But at the same time, this one, for whatever budget Michael had, he does a good job with it. And Michael's that type of action star that he was in the Commando. You all remember the Commando? He started along with Mickey Rourke, which not a lot of action in that movie. And his fight with Mickey Rourke at the end was a total letdown. Like Mickey Rourke folded like a deck of cards. So um, people are saying that this movie's it's not horrible. It's not a bad movie. It's not like the acting. It's not like the acting's horrible or like the acting's decent. Everybody shows up and everything. And I mean, is all the supporting players great actors? No, but at the same time, this is not the worst movie you have. It's not. It's just not. Now here's my. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do negatives first because then I'm gonna always end with positives, and then after that we're gonna go into as good as dead. See, we got a 1-2 punch combo of Michael J. White in this episode of the Action-Flix. So first problem I had with this movie, Michael doesn't do a lot of karate in it, or martial arts. I want to say martial arts. I want to say karate. I don't want to pitch it all because I am a martial artist. And it's not all karate. So he hits the guy twice at the beginning. The best scene is a bar fight where he shows up and there's a bunch of gang members at this bar, and all he wants to do is ask questions, and the guy holds up a gun to him. He's like, "Do you see I have a loaded gun aimed at you?" And I mentioned this to my wife. I go, I love Michael J. White because, like, in this movie, every time somebody points a gun at him, what would you do if somebody pointed a gun at you? You'd probably look a little freaked out, right? You'd be like, "Holy shit, there's somebody pointing a gun at me." Every time somebody points a gun at Michael J. White, he looks annoyed. He's got this look like, really? You're pointing a gun at me? And it's the same thing. It's like, get closer to me, because if you get close to me, I'm going to take it away from you. And that's exactly what he does. He totally takes the gun out from the guy, and the guy's just like, "Oh shit, what just happened?" And then he takes the clip out and he's like, "Listen, see that? I just want to ask questions, but they don't want to answer, and they've been paid to F Michael J. White up. And big fight. And there's a lot of cool hand to hand. You know, he's a lot of great disarming techniques that he does. He does, and he ends with a slow mo jump spinning hook kick, which was a prerequisite for 90s martial arts movies. If you watch 90s martial arts movies, it always has a jump spinning hook kick in slow motion. And we get one from Michael. I'm like, yeah. So I'm thinking that there's going to be more of that. Well, there really isn't. I mean, he has a few other situations and stuff like that. There's one good scene um at the end, you know, but then nobody, okay, there's no match for Michael in this movie. Like every time he faces off against somebody, it's pretty much Michael's gonna kick the living shit out of him, and whoop, credits roll, and that's exactly what happened. So I would have loved to have more fisticuffs because Michael, you know, he's getting older, but the man is solid. He is still moving like he's 25, you know. And I've heard people say that they think he's gotten fat. Who are you looking at? I'm sure you wouldn't say that to his face if you ever met him because he probably, you know, but the man's in shape. You know what I mean? And plus, going back to the next movie I'm talking about, As Good as Dead, he has his shirt off in it. And the guy's got a six pack, he's got muscles, he's ripped. I'm like, what the frick are you people looking at? I mean, yeah, I'm like, geez, he's got muscle. It's like, it's not fat, it's muscle. So enough of that. But so, yeah, so that was my first problem, okay? There is shooting. We get some shooting, and it's not John Wick shooting. I mean, people are going to watch this, and the firefights aren't the most amazingly choreographed firefights. They're running through the jungle, you know, and they're shooting at each other. And then Manuel hires, you know, the cartel, the Sicarios, to come. And there's these four guys, and I thought these four guys were going to really give him some problems, you know. And he was actually going to take on them and have fights with them, but no, he just blasts them, man. He just shoots them dead, you know, and that's about it, you know. So these mercs, you know, really don't present that much problem. They do more than the other guys. So yeah, so if you're looking for a lot of martial arts action, this does not have it. It does have it, but it does not. Okay, if it's a catch-22. So yeah, so then the other thing, Jackson Rathbone, and let me go back to, let me share the screen again to the key art. There it is. You know, Michael J. White, Jackson Rathbone, The Island. So what would you think when you saw that? You'd be like, yeah, these two are gonna, you know, team up and F some people up in the movie, right? No, that's not the case. Jackson is in the movie at the beginning, and then he disappears for like the whole movie. And then he shows up in one little scene where he's talking to Nate on the phone. And then at the end, he shows up to save the day with Mark. That's a missed opportunity. Here's why. I didn't know Jackson Rathbone from A Hole in the Wall. And I'm sorry, Jackson, but I did. I really didn't watch Twilight. Like I said, I have not seen 1 minute of Twilight movies, and I never will because it just doesn't interest me. But I loved the chemistry between the two. They had great chemistry. Like when they were talking at the beginning in the car, they were doing their thing, their shtick. You know, Michael's the stoic, you know, take no bullshit guy, where Phil's the funny guy, you know, and everything. And it worked. I wanted to see more of that. And then he just disappears through the whole movie, and then just shows up at the end. He gets to do some stuff at the end, and you know he gets to make some more jokes at the end and everything. But I just would have loved to have Phil go with Mark to the island and spend the whole entire movie with them, you know, tag teaming. You know, you could have had them getting into fights, you know, and then more of the funny business where, you know, like Phil's like, Jesus, why am I always getting the big guy or something like that? You know, but total missed opportunity. You know, he shows up at the beginning and then shows up at the end, and it's like, why is he on the cover and why is his name next to Michael's? Because he's hardly in the movie. And I dug it. I dug the teamwork that they had going, and I wish that they had. Maybe he couldn't. You know, I don't know. Maybe he had some other stuff he was doing. You know, of course, it was filmed before the actor strike, but you know, he might have been busy and he only had so much shooting time, which, you know, it's happened, you know, but I really wish that he would have, because I love, they had the lethal weapon thing going, you know, and I really dug it. And that was a total missed opportunity. So yeah, so there's number two. But let's end on the positive. Michael Jai White's in the movie, and like I said, Michael elevates any movie that he's in. You know, for every Falcon Rising, we have the Commander. He not all of his movies have been like, ooh, but even when he's in it, it's watchable. You want to watch it because Michael Jai White's in it, and he's got that charisma. He's got that look. He's got that mystique. He can kick ass. He's legit. He's the real deal, and you know, and he carries the movie. His wife's in it. She does a good job playing his ex-wife. And of course, she gets in on the action too because she's a martial arts instructor on the island. So it's like, foreshadowing, So of course she gets to beat some people up. And yeah, so I just, he's one of those actors that when you're in a movie or you see his name on a project, you're just like, okay, even if the last movie you saw with him in it, you were like, my God, I don't want to watch that movie again. You'll see him again coming up in another movie and be like, oh, Michael's in another movie. You will totally forget about that other movie that, you didn't like because Michael Jai White is one of those actors that elevates anything that he's in and makes it better. Just his sheer presence makes the movie better. And the action, when it happens, I mean, it's decent, it's okay, and it's shot well. There's no shaky cam or anything. You can see what's going on. The bar fight, you see all the moves, disarms and everything. He's fast, he's beating people up, breaking bones, So when the action does happen, it's not like you're going to get seasick watching it, because the camera's going like this. So yeah, so they shot it well. And the look of the film is polished. It's got a polished look to it. It looks decent. It looks like a, it doesn't look like it's low budget. So yeah, so I'm giving it a solid 3 out of 5 stars. Is it great? No. Is it bad? Hell no. Like I said, I always read these IMDb reviews, and I'm like, and these people, I don't know if they just had bad days or something, but sometimes they just totally dump on a movie. And I'll never say this is the worst movie I've ever seen because it's not. No movie is the worst. Okay, you know what one movie is? I've said it before. I'm not going to say it in this Action-Flix podcast. If you know me, you know which movie I think is the worst movie ever made. The only movie I've walked out of in the theater when I went to go see it. Paid my hard-earned money, sat down with my popcorn, and halfway through it, I was like, I got better things to do. But that's another story. So yeah, so come on, people. Seriously, get grip. It's not the worst movie I've seen. Don't dump on it that fast. So yeah, 3 out of 5. Action-Flix Approved. I'm approving it. That's right. This is John Jerva from actionflix.com saying The Island is a 3 out of 5 star movie with decent action, decent characters, simple plot, and if you're an action fan, you'll dig it. You should. I mean, I did. My wife did when she saw it, but it's not her fault. She was talking to her mom. So there you go. There's round 1. Round 2. Now we're going to talk about the next one. Now, this one actually came out before The Island, and it's As Good as Dead. Okay. So Michael Jai White and Tom Berenger. And again, Tom Berenger gets top billing log with Michael Jai White. Why? Because he's Tom Berenger. Even if he's only in the movie for 2 minutes, you give Tom Berenger top billing because the man deserves it. So that's what we're talking about now. Okay, so what is As Good as Dead? As Good as Dead has a simple plot, just like The Island does. Michael Jai White has a past, just like in The Island. Michael Jai White is it plays Bryant or Mr. Davies, or I forget what the name he was going under. My apologies, but his real name is Bryant, and he's an ex-LA LAPD officer, just like he was in The Island, but he's also ex-DEA. So he's not only was he an LA cop, but he's also DEA. So he's a double badass at this. But he's got a past. And we see a little bit of it at the beginning, so we're not sure what's going on. But he's in Nogales, Mexico, which is a little border town of Mexico and the United States. And he's hiding out. He's in self-imposed witness protection. So basically, Tom Berenger plays a character named Sonny Kilbane, who was a police captain. And he is more crooked than you can imagine. He's into drugs, human trafficking. God, you name it, this guy was into. I don't even know how he was this captain, but because of Bryant, Tom Berenger got put in jail. He's double life sentences. So as you can pretty much guess, Tom Berenger, Sonny Kilbane is his name, hates Bryant, and if he ever finds him, wants him dead, more dead than anything on the earth. So he's hiding out, but then he discovers this kid named Oscar, played by Luca Oriol. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. I've never really seen him before. He plays Oscar, who just lost his mom. He has siblings, and he's just trying to, get through life. But there's gangs, and he's got trouble with gangs and everything. And his brother, who was in jail, just got out, is the head of a gang. So you see where I'm going with this? Okay, so his brother is Hector, played by Guillermo Ivan. And at first, you think Hector is going to be a total dick, because he's a gang leader, So he meets Brian, and of course he's like, who's this guy? Why is he teaching martial arts? Okay, so here's what happens. So Oscar is going to school, and he when he's on his way to school, he always walks by Brian's place. And let me tell you, Brian's place is pretty cool. It just looks like a trailer, but there's a lot of cool shit going on, and I'll tell you more of that later. And Brian sees him, and as Brian's practicing his martial arts, in his yard, Oscar is, simulating what he's doing, up on the hill. He's doing what Michael Jai White is doing. So Brian, I should call him Brian. His character sees him, and he's like, "Come here," and he's like, so he's stuck. He takes him under his wing, and starts showing him martial arts. Well, Oscar needs money because he wants to pay the bills, he wants to keep the lights on. His grandmother is giving him money and stuff like that. So he wants to take what he learned from Brian and beat people up in tournaments. Of course, Brian was like, "That's not why I'm teaching." He's like, "Mr. Miyagi, this is not why I'm showing you martial arts." So of course he says no, and then Hector shows up and brings his cronies with him, But Oscar goes to a fight with Hector and gets in the ring and beats the living crap out of the toughest guy there because he uses the unique fighting style that Bryant knows and showed him. Unfortunately, somebody videotaped the whole thing and put it on YouTube, and of course, it starts trending and goes viral. And Kilbane's lawyer, Pyro, played by Louis Mandel, the great Louis Mandelaar, he's in it. I mean, he's in it for a little bit. He's in it pretty good. Shows it to Kilbane and shows Oscar fighting, and they're from his unique fighting style. They figure out that it has to be Brian because nobody else does it like that, which is pretty cool. So that's how they find him. Of course, assassins descend and everything, and it just goes on from there. Now, in terms of both movies, if you ask me which one I like better, it's going to be As Good as Dead. Here's why. It's got the same production values as The Island does. But R. Ellis Frazier directed it. And he's directed some Gary Daniels movies, Rumble. He directed, as well as Larceny with Dolph Lundgren. And his movies have been hit miss. Misfire with Gary Daniels, which was a miss, But there's a lot of action in this one. There's more action than there is in The Island. And Michael Jai White does more martial arts in this movie than he did in The Island. And then in the ending is kind of cool because there's a huge shootout at the end. And Michael jacks up, and has his tactical gear on and goes full on commando, and goes on shooting people. Of course, it's CGI gunfire and explosions and blood squibs. They're not blood squibs, but CGI blood. So if you're not into that type of thing, then you're not going to dig it. But I was fine with it. It didn't look that bad. But yeah, there's a lot more action. There's a lot more chances for Michael to use his martial arts skills, and he does the disarming and the counter moves and stuff like that, and the choreography is solid. Which Art Camacho, which I interviewed, and that's on YouTube and on actionflix.com. Actually, part one. I have not put on part two yet, just because I've been busy. I'm going to do part two with Art. He choreographed the fight scenes and the action in As Good as Dead. So solid stuff. And again, it's an independent movie. It's a lower budgeted action movie. It's not John Wick, but it's a solid movie. And here's my rating. I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So a 0.5 higher than is the Island. Okay, because I bumped it up to 0.5 because there's more martial arts and there's a lot more shooting in this movie. And sometimes that's all I want, and that's what I got. Again, people are saying I couldn't make it through this movie. I'm like, why the couldn't you make it through this movie? It's not that bad. It's got Michael Jai White in it. Again, his sheer presence in the movie. The man can act and the man can do action. Why wouldn't you want to watch it? Now, is it the greatest movie ever? Of course not. But it's a solid little action picture, and he's still doing his thing, and he's been doing it for years. And anytime Michael Jai White is in a movie, I am there. I don't care if the last movie I saw Michael Jai White, it sucked, and I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe I watched that movie. I will see another movie later on and be like, ooh, Michael Jai White's in the movie. So, yeah, so 3.5 out of 5 stars for As Good as Dead. And I love the ending. I'm not going to give it away, but I like how it ended, because something happens with Kilbane's character, and just how it ends, it's kind of cool, because Brian gets his vengeance, and it's kind of an implied thing, which even makes it better, because you don't see what happens, but you just know that shit's gonna hit the fan, and then the credits start rolling. So it's an awesome ending. So kudos and more points for that. So there you go. There's my reviews, my double feature, my first ever double feature review for the Michael Jai White action movies, The Island, which just recently came out on digital and video on demand, and As Good as Dead, which came out a little bit sooner. And again, I was going to totally review them when they came out, and I'm sorry, I still got to do 3 Days in Malay, which came out this week. Heart of Stone with Gal Gadot came out this week too on Netflix, but I'm not really rushing to do that one, because again, it doesn't need my help, and again, I'm hearing bad things about it. Well, actually, I heard, and here's the thing: beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Because I saw one review, and again, I don't read them, but I see snippets. This person loved it, and then I saw another review where this person said it was the most boring bullshit he's ever seen. So it's like, what do you listen to? Yourself. Watch the movie. I've never read a review or anything, and that review never swayed me to not go see a movie. Like I didn't read any reviews for Meg 2: The Trench. I was like, you know what? This person said it sucked. I'm not gonna go watch it. I'm like, fuck that. It's got Jason Statham and Wu Jing in it, and they're gonna be fighting huge sharks and God knows what else, and even bad guys. So it's like, and I loved it. For all the bad reviews that Meg 2: The Trench is getting, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Motherfuckers, that's right. I loved it. I thought it was a great summer popcorn flick, and it made me want to see Expendables 4 even more. And God, I can't wait till that movie comes out, because there's going to be people coming out of the woodwork saying how that movie sucks too. Because when the trailer came out, boy, you guys were vocal, and I'm like, really? You didn't like how that trailer looked? Okay, yeah, I know they opened it with the, Megan Fox and Jason Statham rolling around kind of thing, but I dug it, it kind of was like, ooh, what's going on here, and then Stallone knocks on the door, and stuff like that. He's like, I need better friends or something, and then they show all the action. And they just gave you a little taste of Eco US versus Jason Statham. They're not going to show you the whole fucking thing, people. It's like people are like, that trailer was a disappointment. How was it a disappointment? You had karate, martial arts. Again, why am I saying karate? You had martial arts, you have explosions, you have gunfire, and it's R rated. It was officially rated R. I did the article last week, I believe. So rejoice, everybody. It's not going to be Expendables 3 where it's PG-13. You're going to get blood. You're going to get bloodshed. You're going to get a body count. Who knows? You might get headshots. You might get arms coming off. I don't know. It doesn't make an action movie, though, but whatever. Anyways, again, I always go off rails when I do this, because I just start thinking of other things, and that's what happens. But let's go back to what we were talking about before. So, Michael, I love you, man. I hope to interview you in the future for another movie. I mean, again, we all know the writer strike's going on, and I had all these interviews lined up with all these actors, and then I got all these emails coming back to me. Oh, so and so can't do it. I'm sure you understand because of the strike. And I'm like, yeah, but the director's available. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to interview the director right now because I don't have time. I'm moving to Florida. So it's like my apologies. So yeah. So who knows how many interviews are going to be coming out until this whole thing is settled. So 3 out of 5 stars for The Island and 3.5 out of 5 stars for As Good as Dead. Both Action-Flix approved. Approved. God, I can't talk tonight. Action-Flix approved from John Michael Gerva himself, actionflix.com CEO and chief editor. So, what can I say? You know, I just like I love Michael J. White. He's such a great guy, and he was so nice to talk to. Like that interview. Go find it. It's on Action-Flix.com. It was for the Commando again, which wasn't the greatest movie. It wasn't bad. Like I said, he elevated it, and the ending was kind of cool. But it was slow. Oh my god, I just remember it being like looking at my watch and being like, "Where's what happened? Where's the action?" And sometimes when I watch an action movie, I want to see action. That's all I'm saying. All right, so I'm sure you're gonna let me know your opinions when I post this and put it out there. And I love to hear your opinions, but just be respectful. Like I said, if you hated it worse than I did, just tell me why. Just don't be like, this movie's a pile. There's people like email me or message me on Facebook or Twitter, or I'm sorry, X. It's not Twitter anymore. It's X. Elon Musk hated X. So I guess we just say X. I don't know, 10. It's the new. And Instagram. But people, this movie was like one person said to make too, this movie was terrible. Why? So tell me why. Just don't sit there and be like, this movie was terrible. It's like, yeah, I always tell you why I either liked the movie or I didn't like it. I just don't say this movie sucked, or I just don't say this movie was great. I tell you why I liked it and the things I didn't like about it, and vice versa. So so just don't be one of those people that just like just wants to dump on a movie because you had a bad day and somebody pissed in your Cheerios. All right, just don't be that person. Okay. All right, so that's it for this episode of the Action-Flix podcast. I am back. Like I said, I don't know how many of these I'm going to be doing in the next month because, like I said, in a month's time, I am going to be going south. I should next Action-Flix podcast. I should queue up some photos of like we're gonna be around the Panama City beach area. I'm so excited because I vacationed down there with my wife for our anniversary year before the pandemic, and we loved it. And it was either that or we were thinking about Myrtle Beach because we did Myrtle Beach um, too, and it was either that or Florida. We chose, And my parents, God bless them, they're like, you get hurricanes. I'm like, yeah, I know. But you get nor'easters up here. It's like you either get hurricanes down there, which is water and wind, or you get nor'easters up here, which is snow and wind. So both are bad. So, but good thing is you get a hurricane down there, they do state of emergency. You don't have to go to work. So you just pack everything up, board up the windows and leave until it's over. So, I don't know. I haven't lived in Florida before, so this is all new to me. I can't wait though. Hurricanes and all, bring it up. I'm going to be in Florida, and you know what? I'm not going to see snow anymore. So like, we're going to move before the snow gets there. It's like so when you guys are freezing up here, like in New England and in the north and stuff like that, I'm going to be down there sipping a drink with a little umbrella in it, with my flip flops on, poolside, doing an episode of the Action-Flix podcast, and I can't be more excited. So, yes, that's why everything's looking blank back here. But I still have my collectibles out. So I said, hey, honey, can I just leave this out? So it doesn't look like total white behind me. So there you go. And I'm babbling again, but I haven't done this in a while. And I'm solo tonight. So usually when I'm solo, I just start talking. And I stayed on track pretty good, don't you think? I mean, I got through the reviews. And like I said, this is kind of cool. I might do so. I guess this was a versus the Island versus As Good as Dead. you know, because I know Owen does that at the Action. You know, he'll do like sequels and stuff like that, and at the end he'll say which one he liked best. Like, you know, I've never done that before, so I guess you could say As Good as Dead beats The Island by half a point or 0.5. So yeah, and just because basically just because it had more action. I mean, they're kind of like in terms of substance and like how they were shot. It's all they're almost identical. It's just a matter of which one had the most ass kicking in it. And for that, it was As Good as Dead. That ending, the finale. I mean, okay, let me go back to the island real quick. The finale, you know, he takes on Alvarez and his henchman. The henchman he beats up in like 0.2 seconds, and Alvarez gets a great death, let me tell you. I mean, gushing blood, just like when he killed his brother. But it's over in like, it's like that. It's like, could we have gotten a longer fight? Would that have hurt anybody to just film it a wee little bit longer? Thank you. So, okay, that's the other. Yeah. So the finale of The Island wasn't as impressive as Good as Dead. I mean, Jackson Rathbone got more action in the ending of The Island than Michael Jai White did. So there you go. So 3.5 for As Good as Dead and 3 out of 5 for The Island. So As Good as Dead is the winner. Ding, 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 ding. For my first ever versus. It was just a double redo. But I'm going to do this more in the future, especially on my podcast. I'm going to talk about more than one movie because why the hell not? Because that's more fun. What's more fun than talk about a movie? Talk about more than one movie. All right. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to try to do a weekly intel this week. I'm not promising anything. You know, we'll see what happens. My wife's schedule's changing, mine's changing. And that's the other thing. The job I'm doing now, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You try waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go doing work, physical work. It's physical, coming home, and then at night being awake to do this shit. It doesn't work. I'm asleep. I'm sleeping because I gotta get up again at 3 o'clock. Although next week I don't have to get up until 5, so I'm super excited because I get 2 more hours of sleep. And that's a big deal, people. You know what I'm talking about. If you've been where I am, the difference between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock makes all the difference in the world. And this week coming up, I get to wake up at 5. But unfortunately, the next week after that, I'm back at 3. So I can enjoy it for 1 week. But it's only for a month, one more month, and then I'm going down south. And I'm transferring where I'm working now. I'm going down there. So I don't know what my schedule's going to be like down there. My wife's going to have the same schedule. She does overnights. So she's going to do the same thing down there. God knows what I'm going to be doing. I mean, I'll be working for the same company, but I mean, I don't know. So again, that's why I wanted to tell everybody, you know, what's been going on, you know, because I'm so many things I meant to do with the website, but just didn't happen. I still have interviews. Like I have Daniel Bernhardt. Yes, I interviewed Daniel Bernhardt when Extraction 2 came out this summer. And I'm sorry, but I have not gotten it out yet because I have to do editing to it, and that takes a long time. I am sorry. But that'll get out. I still have Michael Worth. God bless him. I love him. It was a great interview, and that was last year, but I just have not got to it. But I will. I will get it out. And there's been other people I've been meaning to interview, and it just hasn't happened. But hopefully, once I get to Florida, things will calm down. And once we get settled and acclimated to the area, you know, I'll be back in the full swing of things. All right. So this is John Jervis signing off for this episode of the Action-Flix podcast. Again, like and subscribe. So if you like and subscribe, and then, you know, I'm able to do this and do it longer. So tell your friends, you know, have them like and subscribe, you know, because I think I'm doing a pretty good job. Again, I don't have bells and whistles, you know, I don't have a fancy intro or music or anything. I just pop up and say, hey, what's going on? You know, because I got bills to pay, you know, and I can't afford to, you know, to pay for, you know, because, you know, you do StreamYard, you know, you do Zoom, you know, and it all costs money if you want to do like all the things that you want to do. And it just ain't happening right. So I'm just doing this on a budget, people. And people seem to be still digging it. God bless you. Here's the thing. I just want to end with this. Facebook. I was at 7,000 some followers. I jumped up to over 11,000 followers, and I have no idea why. I posted an article about Kill Shot, which is a movie Well Go USA is putting out. I believe it comes out next week. and that blew up. I have no idea why. I don't know who shared it. I was trying to find out if somebody famous shared it, but I couldn't find anything. And then there's the movie Soul Catcher, which premiered on Netflix last week, and I promoted that movie just because I thought it looked cool, and that blew up. And then all of a sudden, all these people are following me, and a lot of God bless them, a lot of people from foreign countries, and they message me on Action-Flix, and they're like, "Hi," I'm like, "Hi." So God bless you guys, though. I love it. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you're following me and you're listening to the bullshit that I'm saying, God bless you and thank you for your support. But yeah, I jumped up at Facebook, so I could be more happier. Over 11,000 followers now. Holy crap, that's a lot of people. So all right, so now I'm definitely going to sign off because my time's a wasted. My dog's back here snoring. I don't know if you heard him. He's behind the wall, which is our bedroom, snoring away. I'm by myself tonight. My wife's working and my children are sleeping elsewhere because it's summer vacation still. So I'm alone. So I figured I would jump at the opportunity to do an Action-Flix podcast, and what better Action-Flix podcast to do after being gone for so long than talking about my man Michael J. White. He's got 2 movies. And of course, he's got the Outlaw Johnny Black coming out. I cannot wait to see that. Oh my God, that looks so it looks so funny. And again, gigantic studios, his production banner. He directed it and everything. And this movie's been, stewing for a long time, from conception to now, and it's finally coming out. Oh my God, I cannot wait. So we got that. So, be on the lookout, lock and load for that one, because I'm going to be checking that one out and letting you know what I think of it. All right. So, Michael, you're doing awesome, man. I hope I get to talk to you in the future. So until then, all right. We got Mega Force going on up top and Cobra Kai going down at the. Oh, shoot. Real quick. I got one more thing. I just posted. It's got a new contest. Night of the Assassin. Ooh. Look at this. Check it out. Ooh. Ooh. I got copies. Who wants some? You got to give me your name and address. I posted the contest today. I got a couple people that gave me their entries today. You can win a copy of Night of the Assassin, which is a Korean period sword swinging slice and dice picture. I unfortunately have not watched it. Of course, why would I have watched it yet? But I'm looking forward to watching it because it looks pretty good. And Korea has been producing some awesome kick-ass movies. God bless them. So that's on actionflix.com too. So check it out. Exclusive giveaway. So you can win Night of the Assassin on Blu-ray, courtesy of my friends at Wellgo USA, who have been very kind to me with all these contests and giving me the Blu-rays that I can give to all of you and make you happy. So there you go. So yeah. So I just wanted to end with that. I almost forgot. So until then, Snake Eyes, Daredevil, Deadpool, War Machine, John Wick, The Crow, and of course, John Berthal's Punisher and John Wick. They'll say good evening, everybody. And until next time, this is John Jervis saying we are your destination for action in 2023 and the future. Hopefully the actor and writer strike gets solved sometime this year. So because TV shows ain't going to happen. There's going to be a time where movies are going to dry up. And, there you go. All right. So until next time, everybody, thanks for your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you haven't checked out The Island or As Good as Dead, check them out. They're decent little action movies. And they got Michael J. White kicking ass in. All right. All right, guys. Have a good night. And I'll talk to you next time. All right. Peace out, everybody.